Why did I do that? Welcome to the first opus of the series where I explain why I did this design. In the turmoil of generative art and the ever-constant flow of content on social media, I wanted to make a video series where I would take the time to deep dive on specific design trends and motives that I like. So I would be referring to some books, some research, and sometimes use my empty brain for some of the videos. So why did I make this design? I have been hit with a sudden wave of Nintendo nostalgia, especially for the Wii, and especially after seeing the Switch 2 prices. And stupid as it is, I'm starting to feel really old. I know at the ripe age of 20-something, it's ridiculous, but learning that the Wii is considered retro gaming now is... it hurts. Having grown up with games like Mario Kart like the major part of the 2000s generations, more or less, I should preface this video by saying that I'm really biased when I'm saying all of this. So in my constant need for audio stimulation when I work, I stumbled upon many Nintendo playlists, ranking from the most classic ones to ones where Toad progressively gets closer to the screen the more you listen to the playlist. Mainly, the playlist gave me an existential crisis about the ever so fast passing of time, but most of the time it was fun, fresh, and on theme. Then I stumbled upon a comment that made the whole Wii and Nintendo experience a generational staple. It had something to do with how some younger generations would never experience this era of intense Wii living room gaming and pure unfiltered vibes. Even if I slightly doubt the veracity of the fact, it still raises the question of what makes this console so dear and special to people's hearts. I wanted to get into what makes this Nintendo console so unforgettable design-wise. I mean, other consoles shook the world before it and were revolutionary in terms of gaming, graphics, mechanics. To quote a few, the GameCube, the N64, the first PlayStations, the Game Boy, hell, even the Switch has a cute design. But for some reason, the Wii is really stuck in multiple generations' mind like a piece of art would. It has an iconicity. Not the iconic sense, but yeah, iconicity. I mean, this console had crazy peripherals. The wheel, the nunchucks, the racket, the golf club, and... yes, the Wii gun. I mean, the Wii has an accessory or even a symbol quality to it. It's a huge inspiration source and really captures a specific vibe. I mean, look at the number of designs that are being sold that are linked to the Wii. People are literally making Wii bags, cyber Wii outfits, Wii aquariums, Wii keychains, Wii remote earrings. This light blue and white aesthetic and pure shaped design has a neo-retro look to it that makes the console unforgettable even 20 years past its release. And I should be mentioning this because I mean no hate to PlayStation or Xbox, because I totally see and agree on how they also have nostalgia factors and iconicity, and they have super freaking rad original elements as well. I mean, the little Xbox avatars are so freaking cute, and everything surrounding the old PlayStation is really cool, and I might make a video on that as well later. But I actually never played it on PlayStation, so yeah, I'll need to do some more research. But you know, as great as the Kinect sports games were, I cannot sing one of their songs off the top of my head, but if I played this clip, most of you would have a visceral reaction to it. And this natural reaction to Wii elements also makes sense design-wise. There is something about the Nintendo product in itself that makes it stand out and fit in, and at the same time embodies an aesthetic of its own. The developers actually thought about changing the traditional angles and setups of how a console normally looks. Everything from the Wii had to be inclusive to spaces and generations alike. And when you think about it, the Wii is minimalistic, precise, sleek, slightly rounded and sharp at the same time, and actually the shape of the console meant a lot. It was specifically designed for the living room. But you would tell me, Alex, every console is designed for the living room. Yeah, but how many people would use it every day and not only to play games? Was any console made to be a shared experience? Would it fit between all of the DVD players and the mini screen photo displayers that we got at Christmas to show pictures of your holiday? I don't know. Or the sound system of your TV, if it had one. Well, the Wii was designed so it could stand there and look good. Also, do you remember the funky channels it had? There was the one to create the Mii's. Of course, everybody used this one, but nobody used the other channels. That they were just pretty and had nice sounds to it, right? Well, here again, it doesn't seem new because other consoles had channel systems and other, I guess, apps in their menus. But with the Wii, some people used it to read their emails or check the weather or news on their Wii's. Did some people do that with an Xbox? Possible, but I mean, I feel like the channels on the Wii had such a look and it made it logical to check your emails on there. It was so much more than a console to play games on it. And I think that's what the developers had in mind because they wanted to make a great and best-selling console as well to keep up with the competition. But also, it was meant for the whole family. It was meant to be something that anybody could use and for more than games, so that actually the console earned its place in your living room. It wasn't just a console that your mom would just stare at and be disappointed because it took up so much space under the TV. The Wii was supposed to fit here and everybody could use it. And the design of the console actually reflects that. And speaking of the channels, let's talk about the channels. They had their own memorable soundtracks that are now used in YouTube montages. And you don't even freaking know it, but they are the soundtracks of the Wii channels that maybe I'm speaking in generalizing, but I don't think a lot of people just went on their Wii's to look at the channels and stare at it. We just wanted to play, I don't know, Mario Kart, Mario Bros, I don't know, any games. You just wanted to play games on your console and not check the things that didn't make sense in our eyes because there weren't games. And I mean, talking about the channels again, if we look at the visuals and the graphics and even the sounds, they are so 2000s. They really are the front of the 2000s. I mean, they really have all of the elements, the roundness, the freshness, the pixelated, but at the same time, this neo-retro look again. And looking at this console with adult eyes, it really is a wonder of design. And no wonder people are making Wii merch or even DS merch. And why my DS is part of my room decor. Also, quick mention to the community of people that customize their DS or make literal animations with them. I mean, this is amazing. And it captures just this unique vibe. It just looks cool. And to close my statement on why I included the Wii on my little design here is that it allowed me to talk about the fact that the Wii is building ground for this retro cyber aesthetic that is being used a lot nowadays. For example, if I make a link wheel between the Wii and fashion, the Wii as a fashion trend would be the light techwear, it's like making techwear but in lighter colors. It also gives a lot of the cyber angel aesthetic, meaning designs where people have cyberpunk-esque clothing or face modifications but with a bit of sweet and light blue color profiles with a retro anime vibe to it. And proof that many aesthetics are linked to the Wii in a way. Which brings me to my next point, which is why it is the background set into an aquarium with bubbles and grass. It's because it has to do with the fact that now Frutiger Aero is being stapled to the Wii's back like a barnacle. And I mean, no offense when saying this, again, but the two really can't live without each other now. And yeah, other consoles, especially portables, PlayStations, or the Xbox, again, are also really interlinked to Frutiger Aero. But I really wanted to focus on the Wii, and it's linked to Frutiger Aero. And even though, is it me or is Frutiger Aero really freaking hard to say in English? I'm so sorry. In my opinion, I wouldn't make Nintendo or the Wii as the core of Frutiger Aero, since I think this aesthetic was clearly born in the 98 Windows XP fields. But since none of my books about design had a definition of Frutiger Aero, I had to look on the web, and thanks to Le Monde, here is the origin of the word. Frutiger Aero was invented by the illustrator and photographer Sophie Lee. She defines Frutiger Aero as what dominated the aesthetics between the years 2004 and 2013. So Frutiger comes from the set of fonts called Frutiger, and Aero comes from the editing software slash interface Windows Aero of Windows Vista and Windows 7. And in my own head and in my own terms, I really think it could be boiled down to, let's see here. Do you remember the soap bottles with fish in them that usually were at your grandparents' house, or if you were extremely lucky in your own house? Well, yeah, it's basically that. So basically for Frutiger Aero, all you have to do is just to have an aquarium and throw a whole iMac G3 in here, or hell, even an IBM PC in here, and you have it. But more seriously, and thanks to the aesthetics wiki, I can precise my definition. Frutiger Aero is essentially the rise of popular Web 2.0 interface elements that were funky but corporate and also glossy, and it's mixed with the futurism that came with the passage to a new century and the rise of new technology. So it's basically what we thought in the 2000s the future would be like, and the fact that everything, and especially technology, was going to be new because we were in this new century and everything was shiny and just you wanted to eat plastic all of a sudden. No, just me. Okay. But yeah, remember earlier when I talked about the fact that the Wii was intertwined between multiple different aesthetics? Well, it's because there is a whole umbrella of designs that fall into the Frutiger Aero family, which is called Circa. Well, you see, I don't remember everything that's on this diagram, but for instance, I feel like vector flourish is something that we could not escape from in the 2000s, whether it was in fashion or on planners or school supplies or whatever. I felt like this specific vector flourish, the little swirly floral pink design was really everywhere, and it's really nice to finally have the name for that. And it's really interesting because you really see that it's a fusion of a lot of things that really don't feel that they could belong together at first, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Like how Frutiger Aero is really linked to the corporate world in a way, because Windows is essentially what was in the old corporate offices. It's something that revolutionized how people work in corporations and firms. So it really makes sense that it's linked to this whole corporate aesthetic, and at the same time it had to be kept fresh and fun. So again, to sum up, Frutiger Aero comes from the dominance of also the aqua and aquarium aesthetics of the 2000s. The one famous example of the aquarium computer mouse and the many aquatic and aquarium themed office accessories, and the bubbles and the fish, the water bottles, the round lines, different shades of blue, sometimes green, the playfully saturated like overlays, and of course the influence of now considered old technologies. And it's like it's a mix of a CD and a DVD and a water bottle. It has to be pristine but also tech-ish, and basically just has to ooze internet nostalgia, which I don't know if I managed to do this with my design, but at least I tried to reproduce something that I was obsessed with as a kid, was the bubble screensavers that were by default on now old Windows computer. And I was really obsessed with this screensaver. It's so good. Just also something I want to quickly mention is that sometimes I feel like Frutiger Aero feels like it's a scheme from advertisers to make you feel freedom through relaxing designs and cute and fun little design elements. But in reality, the screensaver you're looking at is when you're stuck to your 9 to 5 office job and you're staring at beige wallpapers. So the customization of your computer and the silly little fun wallpapers are the only things that were colorful and bright about your workday. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's bittersweet almost. Between the elements that make this aesthetic carefree and playful, it has a tremendous factor that makes the whole thing being held captive. You know, the almost liminal and American open space core that makes this theme feel a bit off sometimes. But that got me to thinking, you know, an aquarium is also an enclosed space, right? At the end of the day, isn't Frutiger Aero a self-reflective aesthetic where while we are distracted by beautiful designs of nature and bubbles and water, we are actually forgetting that we are just a fish trapped in our own bowl by being a new cog forced to look at a computer the whole day to feed an ever-demanding hungry machine of exploitation? But who am I kidding? No, it's silly, it's fun, and it's fresh! So now on a completely other note, you might wonder why there is the Sumida Aquarium logo in here. So I actually visited the Sumida Aquarium when I was in Japan, and you might know it from Connor VA's visit of the aquarium with our mouse. And I honestly strongly recommend it. The vibes are just amazing. It's just more than an aquarium. It just every single, I guess, tank is specifically designed. And like I feel like the fish are happy to be here, which is very good, and that makes me happy as well. But every tank is really nicely designed, and you can tell that there was a lot of thought put into it. So yeah, I used like a screenshot of the videos I took while I was here, and yeah, it's just really pretty, and especially the jellyfish. The jellyfish tanks were just amazing and just absolutely. I was really baffled when I first saw them. So again, to finish, for the whole overall design, I just wanted it to have the look of something you would find in a magazine, like maybe a video game magazine that would, you know, advertise an ad for collaboration between Nintendo and the Sumida Aquarium. So yeah, I used many overlays and textures that maybe are not really visible at first and that obvious, but I feel like the subtlety kind of makes it, I don't know, makes it have a nice finish and a nice paper-ish finish, which I love. So yeah, this is why I designed the collaboration between Nintendo and the Sumida Aquarium, and of course the whole thing is inspired by the Frutiger Aero aesthetic. I really hope that you enjoyed my little ramblings on my different sources of inspiration for this, because I really had a tremendous amount of fun doing this little design, and yeah, you know, I just love exploring and kind of like, you know, thinking about stuff, I guess. But stay tuned for my next video that's gonna be on another, well, I guess it's still in the 2000s, so and yeah, thank you so much for following through with me, and I'm sorry for the fact that I'm slightly new to Photoshop, and if you know every keyboard shortcuts, you might have an aneurysm while watching this, because you just spend a lot of time watching me struggle with every single Photoshop command, because I'm fairly new, but hey, I'll get there sometime, right? But yeah, thank you so much, and consider subscribing or liking or leaving a comment if you liked it, and see you guys very soon. Thank you so much.